Ladies and gentlemen, señores y señoras, welcome back to our second last match of today. We have Northern Ireland against Spain. Let me introduce you the referees. The center referee, Mr. Niels Christian Simonsen. The assistant referee, Robbie Byrne. The second assistant referee, Nico Balin. And the fourth official, Rémi Simon. And for the teams, for Northern Ireland, with number 8, the captain, Scott Hilland. Number 2, Bartet Kutkowski. Number 9, Patrick Kuminski. Number 12, Sean McKinney. Number 14, Ethan McCabe. Number 20, Ruben Walls. Number 28, Carl Forster. And the head coach and team manager, Michael Hilland. And his assistants, David Kutkowski and Marina Lupari. And Spain, with number 10, the captain, Samuel Gao Garcia. Number 7, Rabdoan Bouhabund. Number 5, Aaron Taralbo Sanchez. Number 9, Francisco Guerrero Velasco. Number 12, Marcos Garcia Trives. Number 19, Arturo Fabra Reina. Number 64, Francisco Perez Espinosa. And the head coach, Jan Grau Garcia. And his assistants, Francisco Javier Belda Ramon, Susana Sanchez Trujillo, Manuel de Rey Arjona, and the team manager, Joaquin Bettinelli. Here we go, guys. Enjoy the match. I'm gonna head over to the guys in the streaming. Ryan and Greg, that's yours now. Enjoy.
Good afternoon from Lignano, Sabbiadoro, and welcome back to day 4 of the 2025 EPFA Nations Cup, where Group A comes to its conclusion with this encounter between Northern Ireland and Spain. The semi-final picture in this group is already settled, with France and Belgium marching on with brilliant records, but this fixture still carries weight, because while the playoff route to Buenos Aires remains a daunting one, no matter where you finish, today's result will decide who claims third and who drops into fourth. Both sides sit on 3 points, and this is their last chance to position themselves before the knockouts begin. Northern Ireland have enjoyed a campaign that's mixed flashes of real promise, with the challenges you'd expect from such a young squad. They stunned everyone by leading France at half-time in their opening match before the reigning world champions eventually powered back. They then produced one of their best ever results at this level, a 6-0 demolition of Germany, where Ruben Walls and Carl Forster stole the headlines with outstanding set-piece quality. Against Belgium, they battled hard, created openings, and even halved the deficit through Walls again, but lapses in concentration proved costly in a 2-1 defeat. Still, Michael Hilland's team have shown bravery, energy, and resilience, and their superior goal difference means a draw today would be enough to confirm third place. Spain, meanwhile, are experiencing their very first test and taste of a major tournament, and it's been a tough learning curve. A heavy defeat to France in their opener reminded them of the gulf at the very top. But against Belgium, they looked more organised and competitive, and then their breakthrough came. Goals from Samuel Gro Garcia and Aaron Taralbo Sanchez against Germany gave Spain their very first victory at this level, a deserved reward for their perseverance, and it's injected real belief into this squad, still adjusting to the pace and tactical demands of international power chair football. The permutations are clear. Northern Ireland, with the stronger goal difference, need just a point to hold on to third place. Spain must win if they are to leapfrog their opponents. The prize, whichever way it falls, is a playoff tie against whoever finishes fourth in Group B, whether that's Italy, Ireland, Denmark or Scotland. That will be settled later today. And while any of those matchups will be a huge test, finishing higher here still matters. It means momentum, confidence and the knowledge that you've taken every opportunity available.
Yeah. Get to the point of the competition now where needs must, permutations exist. Straight shootout in terms of games. This is another one of those between Northern Ireland and Spain, and I feel like these two come into this game in differing levels of form. Northern Ireland got off to the hottest of starts, really stunning France, taking a 1-0 lead, and then putting Germany to the sword. That really clinical performance that I think made everyone take notice of just how well they can play going forwards after excelling defensively against the world champions. And then came that game against Belgium, you know, the crucial one for that automatic spot to Argentina yesterday, and they just didn't quite get going, didn't quite hit the levels that we know they can. Perhaps they had just gotten a little bit blocked off by the Belgians, couldn't work out how to break them down. For Spain, however, after a really tough start against those world champion French, and they were really put to the sword, much like Northern Ireland did to Germany. It was a lesson they would have taken, and it's a lesson they have learnt. Their win against Germany earlier on was fantastic for them, scoring goals at a major competition for the first time, winning at a major competition for the first time, and giving themselves that place, regardless of what happens here today, in the playoff. But also drawing level with Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland may be forgiven for thinking, how do we come into this game level on points with Spain? And that's what I mean when I say that they come into this match just maybe in different levels of morale on form, Ryan.
The margins in this competition have been so fine. Northern Ireland so competitive in their fixtures, but the results haven't necessarily reflected that. The same statement can very much be applied to the likes of Scotland, the Republic of Ireland, to mention just two. And that's why every point, every goal, every moment could be pivotal in ensuring your fate, whether that is progressing through the competition, earning one of those golden tickets to Buenos Aires, or falling short of your ultimate dream. In that game versus Belgium, I think experience was the big deciding factor. We have to give this young Northern Ireland squad a little bit of a grace period, because they're still finding their way at this top level. Yes, you can play domestic football at a very high level. You can play international friendly tournaments such as home nations and other celebrations, but nothing quite prepares you for this level. We're seeing teams far beyond the calibre of these two really struggle. England as one example. Yes, they're coming out the group stage with 4 wins from 4, but if you was to ask any one of those English players to assess their performance and the level in which they're competing at, they will all be disappointing. I don't think that's because England aren't being as effective as possible. I think all credit is owed to the opposition. Everyone is raising their level to this occasion, and irrelevant of outcome, whether you escape with one of those 5 tickets or not. You need to take pride in your performances and hope. And it's a lot of work you have to do away from this top stage. So much work goes into the development in the 2-3 years between major competitions. And so my challenge now for the likes of Scotland, Germany and others that may just fall short: go away, develop, invest time, effort and energy into ensuring the next time you are present, you are better, you are faster, you are sharper. And this competition has provided the absolute perfect case study. The Italians, who are facing Italy later today, have blown everyone away. Nobody expected them to do what they have. And should they beat Scotland, they will not only be a semi-finalist, they will be a World Cup competing team. And that is huge.
Yeah, if you'd have said, 2 years ago when we watched Italy at the EPFA Four Nations in Munich, that just 2 years later they would be on the brink of becoming a European semi-finalist and a World Cup competing team, I think I'd be forgiven for saying that that wouldn't happen. I think the Italians would be forgiven for thinking you're crazy. But they have come on leaps and bounds, and it just shows what can happen with time, effort and energy you put in on the training ground. And I think for these two teams, Northern Ireland are a great case study as well, as what happens when you invest in the future. You start building, you build a young team together. The results are very fruitful. But right now, these two will look to do battle for third, battle for bragging rights in the group, and perhaps an easier draw. Although, to be fair, whoever you play out of Group B, you're going to have a tough game, because Group B has become, as we've mentioned before, almost a group of death.
Yeah, based on relative form, irrelevant of this result, you would say that whoever finishes third, even the fourth ranked team in Group B, will be a tough ask of the winner of this one. Vice versa with whoever finishes fourth, probably even more so. But we're seeing three nations cling on to hope later today, which shows Group B is going right down to the wire. I could tell you that any one of those teams, or it being Denmark and Italy, in terms of the semi-final placement, you wouldn't be shocked if either one of them went on to grab it. Let's go through the squads here, starting with Northern Ireland. A slight deviation from what Michael Hilland has done for the 3 games prior to this. He keeps Scott Hilland as his goalkeeper and captain, brings Patrick Comiskey in to the centre with wingers of Bartek Kuszkowski and Ruben Walls. And for Spain, Francisco Guerrero Velasco, Radwan Bujabud, Samuel Gro Garcia and Marcus Garcia Trives.
Arguably Spain's strongest starting four. They know what's at stake, they know what they have to do. Just getting some final instructions. As a nice hush descends in the Bella Italia Sports Village. Everyone knows just what is on the line here.
We are scheduled for a 4:30 kickoff here local time to make the necessary adjustments. Spain, of course, on the same time zone an hour prior for those tuning in from Belfast and beyond. You're seeing Scott Hilland just bring those 3 players in. He's a great communicator, a great leader. We saw that during that Belgian game, even though it didn't ultimately go their way. And by contrast, Spain have the whole squad around coach Jan Garcia. As mentioned, this is the penultimate game of the day, the final day of which group stage fixtures will be contested at 6:15 Central European Summer Time. Italy take on Scotland. Should Northern Ireland go on to get a draw or win from this one, they will contest the first fixture tomorrow morning at 9:30. So whilst they'll have a nice sleep, it is a quick turnaround. They're almost bogey fixtures, the first ones. You want to be able to get up, get some good fuel in your body, acclimatise to the environment and the expectations before playing. So how significant will that be? The second playoff, which will see the loser of this one play against whoever finishes third in Group B. That's 11:45. Semi-final 1 between France and whoever finishes second in Group B is at 2 o'clock. And England face Belgium at 4:15. We will play the 9th place fixture tomorrow evening as well at 6:30. That just leaves 4 big crunch games on Wednesday. The first one would be almost a dead rubber, the losers of the playoffs. Then we go into that playoff with one final World Cup ticket available. The 3rd, 4th place playoff. And then the 2025 EPFA Nations Cup at 4:30 on Wednesday. We've played 18. This is game 19. We have 29 in total. So 10 games beyond this, and they are going to be fiery.
Yes, indeed, they will be. That's what we want. We want elite Power football. We want to be entertained. We want the passion. We want the drama. We want the blood, sweat and tears, mental frog it's going to take from these players to achieve what they want to achieve.
The players are out. The noise is increasing. Radwan Bujabud will have responsibility of kickoff. The officials for this one: Niels Christiansen Simonsen of Denmark, Robbie Byrne of Ireland, and Nico Balin of France will be his assistants. And then the 4th official from France, Remy Simon.
That's a Red Fox drum is well travelled, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's been shared amongst varied nations. France borrowed it earlier, and now Spain have it to hand to ensure those players feel the energy. Irrelevant of what happens, both of these nations will have an opportunity to get a World Cup ticket, but a win here could make a more favourable route to it. It really is a golden opportunity. And what's more interesting is we've got nations that weren't present at Sydney. Belgium have already got a ticket, so that snatches a chance away from a more established nation. The likes of Denmark and Ireland, they have to fight for something beyond automatic ticketing. Northern Ireland were really disappointed with that Belgium defeat yesterday, which could have seen them trump them in the table. as Patrick Kamiski just weaves past Marcus Trives into Bartek Kuszkowski. A fluid system adopted already by Northern Ireland. I'm not quite sure who the central player is. It looks as if it will be Pat Kamiski. But that versatility will help them, and that did take a touch off Gro Garcia, so Velasco has to keep it in play. Bujabud, pick off from Kamiski, cleared by the Spanish number 7. This is good early pressure in the opening minute from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Northern Ireland starting on the front foot. Velasco needs to be careful, needs to communicate with Bujabud when he goes out the box. Giving away a 2-on-1 just now. Kamiski flick towards Walls.
I recall during the Sydney World Cup, Patrick Kamiski dubbed Postman Pat because he always delivers. Will he do so here?
Again, you see lack of communication in the Spanish defensive ranks there. Bujabud pushing forward. Grau Garcia not getting away from the edge of the box quick enough. I'm going to say a 1-2 here between Kamiski and Walls to set up a shot for Kamiski.
Yeah, I would suspect pushed into Ruben Walls, back to Kamiski into the 180, which is exactly what they tried to execute, but it didn't have the accuracy to find the bumper of Kamiski. Ruben Walls just coming over to his teammate to talk about that passage of play. Very vocal, we can hear him from up here, even with these big headsets on. It's disappointing for Spain. Going to have to be a lot more considerate of their positional play because Northern Ireland really punished Germany from set pieces. It's a rare mistake from Ruben Walls.
No, not often he doesn't connect properly with a 180 spin.
Radovan Bujabud. The whole ball had definitely left the court there. As Pat Kamiski comes over to take. Ruben Walls locked in that top left-hand corner. Goes into Ruben Walls. That's certainly how Kamiski's shaping up. Kuszkowski behind a host of Spanish players as Scott Hillen just tries to make himself known. That's nice from Northern Ireland. I really appreciate the effort of going backwards to advance forwards. I think it's something they could definitely utilise more. We was calling for it against Belgium yesterday. They looked to utilise it a little bit too late.
Yeah, they definitely did. They threw everything forward. Saw Scott Hilland get involved, and immediately as they did, they scored. And then switched back to a more defensive shape. Kamiski has Kuszkowski on this far side. He seems like the target.
Yeah, 180 from Kuszkowski. Very telegraphed, but doesn't mean it won't be effective. On that occasion, Radovan Bujabud clears. Northern Ireland very much in the ascendancy. Ruben Walsh just tries to mask his intention. There's no real way through to Kuszkowski, so it can only be Kamiski or played off a Spanish bumper for a corner, which is what he's clearly gone for. Into the path of Kamiski. Velasco has to defend. Garcia just protecting the edge of that box. Marked out by the hazard tape as Kamiski manages to break away. Radovan Bujabud needs to be careful, can't be too aggressive in those trappings of the ball, and Spain escape with a goal kick.
Again, Spain needs to be careful when Gro Garcia goes into that defensive position in the corner. Boujabud was on the post still. He's got to get out of there. Consider themselves very lucky to have not given away a 2-on-1.
Into Gro Garcia. Trives hasn't had a great deal of involvement in the opening 5.5 minutes. He may have an opportunity had Samuel Gro Garcia got the accuracy and angle on that crossfield ball. Comiskey back to Scott Hilland, and that is really good from Spain. It's going to go wide of the left-hand post, but that is always the risk when you play a form of 4-out football, utilising a goalkeeper in attack. And Scott Hilland can breathe a sigh of relief, but positives for Spain.
I question the need for to play 4-out this early when they didn't do it in the game yesterday that they did need to win. This is a game they can afford to draw, so they can take less risks. That's something that doesn't quite matter. I'm happy to encourage 4-out play, but you've got to realise when and where to play it and the risks involved. As we see Samuel Gro Garcia get withdrawn early on again for Spain, Ryan.
Yeah, it's a interesting decision. I'd love to understand from the Spanish coaches, because it's widely considered that Samuel Gro Garcia is the most talented amongst that Spanish squad. Aaron Tarabo Sanchez, the second goal scorer in their Germany victory, will be looking to add further goals to his tally. And gets in with that pick off out to Ruben Walls, trying to entice the players in. Tarabo Sanchez was very close to Trives there. Has to read the anticipation and trajectory of the ball to ensure that he has enough space to operate. Another substitute signalled by Robbie Byrne, the official on the far side. It's going to be Carl Forster coming on. Didn't manage to get any minutes against Belgium, which will be of a bit of a disappointment to him, because it was coming off the back of a fairly emphatic hat-trick against Germany. Ruben Walls, interestingly, has been withdrawn. So Comiskey in the centre with Kushkovsky and Forster as wingers. Breaks away, just tries to feint Francisco Velasco. It's very closely contested, this. Yes, Northern Ireland with a lot of territory, and 3 in the box signalled. Good advantage played. Secondary effort saved by Radwan Boujabud. And a goal kick. The decision, I don't mind that. Allowing play to continue. They had 2 really good opportunities via that advantage.
Spain really under pressure, can't get out their own half. Kushkovsky's done well to keep that one in. He drives round now, Velasco. That ball gets all the way across to Carl Forster, plays it back to Comiskey, cut out by Trives. And Trives.
He's going to keep it in.
He is going to keep it in, but Comiskey dispossesses him and drives out Boujabud. Cuts inside, that'll be a 2-on-1 advantage. Really nicely done by referee Niels Christian Simonsen. And Northern Ireland will get a kick in about halfway through the Spanish half.
The water break observed now, I suspect. Maybe they'll have that, make that Spanish change first. I suspect Marcus Trives will come off, and on comes Arturo Fabra Reina, who is a really good presser of the ball. Interestingly, they bring Tarabo Sanchez off. I suspect that's a classification decision rather than a player quality position. Seen Radwan Bujabud and Marcos Trives as PF2 classified players. It leads those winger spots, or Velasco's a PF2, sorry. Radwan Bujabud must be a PF1. But we have had a fairly closely contested first 10 minutes or so. Northern Ireland, of course, with all of the attacking intent and possession, but nothing that's really troubled the Spanish defence.
No, in fact, you'd say the best chance was the 180 from Scott Hillen that was redirected back towards his own goal by Samuel Grau Garcia, narrowly wide of the Northern Ireland goal. Spain can't really get out their half at the minute, which disappoint them in a game they need to win. Northern Ireland have looked to play 4 out. Perhaps that scare from Grau Garcia has limited that decision. They've tried to scale it back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if Italy do go on to beat Scotland later today, they will of course wrap up second. It will also ensure that Denmark finish third and the Republic of Ireland finish fourth. So I wonder if the likes of Spain aren't really wanting to do a great deal to try and get the 3 points. They may favour a meeting with a Republic of Ireland or a Denmark over the other. But at present, assuming an Italy win, I think it will be a Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland playoff to see who progresses for the World Cup ticket. And that's really nice play from Arturo Reina. Good work from Comiskey likewise. He's going to roll out for a goal kick, but he's covering a lot of ground and a lot of space. He was central to Northern Ireland at the 2023 Fit for Power Chair Football World Cup in Sydney. For me, their standout. Hasn't had as many minutes in this competition. Michael Hilland has opted for Ethan McCabe in the more competitive games. As the ball's placed to Scott Hilland, who's looking to contribute in attack. He just has to be careful of his placements and the potential interceptions from either Arturo Reina or Marcus Trives. Carl Forster, the only real clear option, but it will become predictable. There's no real angling as Kruszkowski does just enough to ensure 3 meters. It was very close.
I'd like to see Comiskey stay out there, let Kruszkowski front bumper it to him instead of forcing it into the dribble and pushing Kruszkowski back into the corner.
Looks as if it will be Carl Forster to take. Back to Patrick Comiskey. Locked up by Arturo Reina. And now Marcus Trives has a potential break. The ball didn't have a great deal of pace, and whilst I'm typically an advocate for staying in reverse, it needs momentum to ensure that you can guide it through the lines. And an opportunity for Spain, a rare one at that.
Boujaboud Reina. Front bumper. Nearly gets between Kamiski and Hilland.
The danger still is present. He can flick it towards that right hand post. There was a slight gap there. Right stuff from Spain.
Free kick, corner kick. Taken by Bujabu, dummied by Reina. Forster, forward to Kuskowski. From 180, can Forster get there? No! But that was a great counter-attack from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Carl Forster has to stay in reverse there, I think. But the initial ball out to his alternate winger. And just too much pace for him to catch up.
There was at least definitely a 2-on-1 in there against Spain. Trives. Kamiski. Has Forster in the middle. It's flicked more towards Kuskowski. Now Trives can bring the ball forward. It's just going to roll slowly out of play. Hilland engages, plays it off Trives, and it'll go out of play for a kick in to Northern Ireland deep in their own territory.
Yeah, sensible work there from the Northern Ireland captain. He knew what he was doing. But Spain looking to condense this defence down to Kyle Forster.
Bujaboud as Reina, 180, no gap there. Brilliant closing down from Kamiski. 180 off Reina. It was a dangerous situation. Kamiski recognised that, closed it down, and the pass from Bujaboud goes out of play for another Northern Ireland kick-in.
Arturo Reina just told to observe 5 metres. Just primed and ready to try and cut out the passing lane.
Reina has Bujaboud in the middle, but that'll be contact with the back of the chair from Kamiski. Direct free kick for Spain, who are enjoying a nice spell of territory here, Ryan, with the final couple of minutes of this first half.
Yeah, it's just about making it count though, but they are committing players forward in pursuit of that opener. It's going to be Arturo Reina to take. Maybe Radovan Bujaboud as the screen to Trives. That was the intent. As Kuskowski tries to weave his way round Francisco Velasco. And that's an interesting 2-on-1. Radovan Bujaboud didn't arc the trajectory of his advancement or retreat for that matter to get around Velasco as we approach the final minute of regulation time in this first half. Pat Kamiski definitely looking for the front bumper of Kuskowski, which he seems to find. The 180 across the box. That's a beautiful goal! That is the best goal they have scored all competition. Whilst it was fairly predictable, it was absolutely clinical. And Carl Forster puts Northern Ireland 1-0 up.
This ball from Kamiski deserves a second viewing. Look at that. Right across the face of goal. Forster cushions it off the side of his wheel. It just, because it's hit his wheel, it's jumped up, which means it's bounced onto the bumper of Velasco and goes into the back of the Spanish goal. And just before half time, Northern Ireland break the deadlock.
Yeah, looking to add to that tally late in the first. Slight miscommunication. You can see the frustration on Marcus Trives.
Another late substitution in this first half. We've seen both managers ring the changes a little bit. Perhaps we have bigged up the need for third place too much, Ryan. They both are happy with where they are?
as we've already said, I think it's irrelevant of your opposition in that crunch game. Like whether it's Denmark, Italy or Ireland, it's going to be a tough ask of these opponents. I think Group B is just grounded their momentum, much higher pace, much higher intensity that have been played across those games.
It's a really unusual lineup of 4 now we've seen. For Spain is...
Yeah, it's good to see Francisco Perez Espinosa feature. It's been fairly sporadic.
We have too many PF2s on the pitch, I believe.
That is a very interesting assessment, and if that is the case, that's disappointed from the coaches who should have complete knowledge as to that.
Yeah, Radwan Boujabud was the other PF1, and they've taken him off. Brought on another PF2. Need to come together, the referees here, and work out.
I'll be really disappointed if Francisco Perez Espinosa is withdrawn, but that looks as if it will be the case, who interestingly is going to receive a yellow card, as does Jan Gro Garcia. It's probably understandable. It's not because he's done anything wrong, it's because he shouldn't be entering the court because he's deemed illegal. So he gets a big round of applause, and rightfully so. Just a lapse in judgment, but nothing with real malice. I have no doubt it wasn't intentional. They're not trying to purposefully get an advantage over the opposition. It's interesting that fielding an ineligible player results in a yellow card for said player.
That is the first. There are many things I have seen in my time. There's not a lot I haven't seen. That was one of them. That is the first time I've seen a manager and a player book bringing on an illegible player. I can
tick that off.
Tick that off the bingo list of the scrapbook.
That small break has meant we're now approaching 23 minutes, so I suspect this will be the last real involvement of this first half. A corner will follow this. So many players behind that goal, as you can see on your screen. It goes from France to the Republic of Ireland, England and Denmark, everyone here, and it's fantastic to see the support for these young development nations.
The Italians the other end, whilst they get ready for their game later on. What can this corner bring for Northern Ireland?
Over to Comiskey, finds the gap, finds the space once again. It's a set-piece routine that proves the undoing of Northern Ireland's opposition. This time, Pat Comiskey, the direct provider, the scorer, sorry. Carl Forster, the provider. Brilliant stuff. Northern Ireland 2, Spain 0.
Really clinical finish from Pat Comiskey right into that corner. Defence had no chance. Ball in. It was great from Carl Forster right to Comiskey. Just swings, connects, and it almost curls away from Trives in the middle. Really nice finish from Northern Ireland's number 9, and they double their lead in this additional time.
That they absolutely do, as Marcus Trives. Nice combination play. It's a nice passage, the nicest passage they've managed to string together in the 24 minutes we played. This is also, I think, the greatest accumulation of minutes we've had in a game thus far for additional time, as Bartek Kuszkowski into Pat Comiskey, you would suspect. Northern Ireland head into the break with a 2-0 lead, and it comes from the kind of moments that have defined their tournament so far. Brilliantly executed set pieces. Carl Forster was in the right place at the right time to open, and he turned provider for the second, whereby Pat Comiskey doubled their advantage. Up until then, it had been really tight, cagey affair. Northern Ireland started with the greater attacking intent, but struggled to really test Spain's defence. Spain, meanwhile, grew into the half, finding openings. The question now is, do they have the hunger to get back into this, knowing that they are safe and they still have a position to play for tomorrow afternoon? We'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back here to Lignano Sabbiadoro. Northern Ireland carry a deserved 2-0 lead into these final 20 minutes against Spain. Goals from Carl Forster and Patrick Comiskey, both crafted with real precision and finished with real composure. Now the task is about discipline. See this game out, and third place in Group A will be theirs, setting up a playoff clash against whoever finishes fourth in Group B later today. For Spain, their World Cup dream isn't over, irrelevant of this result, but they will have a more challenging ask across the crunch playoff games taking place tomorrow and Wednesday. So big 20 minutes to come in this penultimate game of the day. Can Northern Ireland finish the job, or is there late drama still to be had?
Yeah, that second goal for Northern Ireland would have been gutting for Spain, especially at the point in the match it came in like 4 minutes of added on time. If they'd have gone in at just a one behind, their job would have been a lot easier and a lot more achievable, you'd feel. It's a great ball from Boujabou, but he wasn't able to come back to him. Again, that is a fantastic fired ball up the court from Boujabou. Trives putting Scott Hilland under pressure. Comiskey gets back.
Yeah, big switch up for Spain in this second half. It's now Aaron Terrabo Sanchez in goal, Radwan Boujabou in the centre. They have brought back on Francisco Perez Espinosa, who has Curo on the back of his chair, and Marcos Garcia Trives, the other winger. So they're able to bring that number 64 on to feature. As Radwan Boujabou plays it into the box, it ricochets off Trives' chair out for a goal kick.
Boujabou, I think, didn't quite see the deflection off Trives' chair. He looked rather displeased with that decision. The correct one it was though. Scott Hilland with his goal kick. As Kuskowski to his left finds it to Comiskey. Brilliant ball from Boujabou.
It really was, and that's not the first of the half. He's looking to orchestrate from deep, but because he is so far away from his wingers, it needs both power and accuracy paired with the anticipation and readiness of those wingers. As Carl Forster puts it into Bartek Kuszkowski.
Comiskey cuts inside. Blocked by Boujabou. Gets turned though by Comiskey, who goes round Terrabo Sanchez. Boujabou does well to get back.
The appeals from Pat Comiskey, wants the penalty. They have to settle for a kick in, but it's great work initially. He does so well to feint and shape his chair in a fashion that confuses the Spanish defence. As Bartek Kuszkowski is going to play it into his path, you would suspect. Scott Hilland's on for an option. Carl Forster certainly isn't. So a little bit disappointed with the intention of that kick in, unless Kuszkowski wants to do what we've seen Ruben Walsh do so much, is play off the defensive bumpers to then engage it, or ricochet directly off for a corner ball.
Good battle this between Kuszkowski and Boujabou. I mean, this is perfect from a Northern Ireland point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fires off the post. No touch off a Spanish chair, so a goal kick. We often say that Samuel Garo Garcia is widely considered as the best Spanish player. I think that title across this competition is probably owed to Radwan Bujaboud. He has been real central to any success Spain have had, as he just collides into Carl Forster there. Too much contact. Wouldn't be a game without a little curse of the commentator. Something I am infamous for.
Yeah, no stranger.
When you do as many games as I, it's only inevitable that it crops up.
You don't need to defend yourself, mate. It's all right. Don't worry.
Comiskey into Carl Forster. Disappointing accuracy.
Yeah, that was the intention anyway.
Lovely work from Marcos Trives to give Pat Comiskey a taste of his own medicine, using that ball's momentum and trajectory in your favour.
Good from Comiskey.
He's going to try and push it in the path of Kushkovsky, but credit to Bujaboud to just cut off that advancement.
I would have liked to have seen him leave it to Kushkovsky.
I don't think it had the pace on it, so I think Radwan Bujaboud would have almost certainly cleared it. So I think it's the right decision from Comiskey. It's more what Spain are doing right than what Northern Ireland are doing wrong. And that's sensible to just let that go out of play, reset. This is where I'd like to see them go back to Scott Hilland. I'd like Carl Forster to be the other side of Espinosa. Just try and expand that core. Goes into Comiskey. There's a real reluctance to use Scott Hilland in attack. You can almost understand why. Firstly, it's that lack of game time in which they've adopted it, and secondly, if and when they have across the competition, they have been exposed via ricochets and counter-attacks. But they've got a nice 2-goal buffer. They're sailing their way to a playoff game. Spain would not only need 2 goals, they would need 3. They'd need to completely reverse the scoreline for them to leapfrog them in the standings. So this is where I want to see a bit of bravery from Northern Ireland. Experiment with Scott Hilland up. There's no jeopardy involved for them while the scoreline is 2.
I mean, they were doing it at 0-0, so why not do it at 2-0?
It was the exact same yesterday against Belgium. They went 2-0 down and then started to get their football play in. Ruben Walls scored the goal which halved the deficit, and then they resorted back. Goes into Comiskey, blocked by Tarabo Sanchez. Such a versatile player, can play out wide, can play in the centre, and he's currently adorning the pink goalkeeper jersey. Not much.
Lets that one go out of play.
Yeah, not much he could have done to wrap his chair around it. It's very almost John Bolden-esque, that use of flicking it off your back wheel there from Pat Comiskey. And that's a little bit too aggressive in trying to swipe it out to Carl Forster, but the 3 in the box is the decision. Pat Comiskey's lucky, not because I thought he would have been given a yellow card, but he was too aggressive, so I thought it should have been a contact foul. But what was a potential free kick for Spain is now a really good opportunity for Northern Ireland. We've seen them be so efficient at these set pieces. Carl Forster, the closest option. He's shaping up for that line into his 180. It does go into that, across the box, cleared by Radwan Bujaboud, and a potential break on Espinosa millimetres away from connecting. Even if he had done so, the trajectory of the ball would have been diagonally splitting across the Northern Ireland half, and Marcus Trives would never have been able to catch up to it.
No, that routine was very well telegraphed. Always going to go towards Carl Forster, who's always going to 180 it across. That ball comes off. Velasco. Comiskey hits the post and goes out of play. Would have liked to have seen Carl Forster come down the line to give him an option, perhaps. But I think the plan was always there to try and win a corner.
I suspect Ethan McCabe will feature at some point in this game. He's tended to be that starting central player, and whilst it's not in way of trying to increase or improve the outcome of this game, it's more to ensure he's as sharp as possible ahead of that playoff game tomorrow morning. One thing is for certain, if Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland meet in a game that could be absolutely crucial to either one securing a final World Cup ticket, there is going to be serious fire involved in that one. As Pat Comiskey guides it goalbound, a potential breakaway as Espinosa brilliantly reverses. Again, there's no real direction. I'm not too upset with the intention. It puts it right back into the Northern Ireland half, but if you know there's no one there, maybe taking it in reverse yourself would be a better option.
Quite possibly so, as we reach the water break here in the second half. Does Spain start throwing caution to the wind, or do they accept that whoever they play from Group B, it's going to be a monumental?
Let's assume that Italy do beat Scotland later today, which is far from a formality, I must add. Who would you rather face? Denmark, who we know are fiery, they're aggressive, they're defensively grounded, or do you face Ireland, who are on the upwards trajectory of being a really efficient side? We saw what they did against Ireland. They were bitterly unlucky against Italy and should have they were the better side against Denmark as well. So whilst the Republic of Ireland are going to be the ones that likely finish fourth, they're arguably better than the two teams above them. So that is the dilemma. So if I am Spain, I don't have a problem finishing fourth because it sets up a potential meeting with Denmark, who have shown vulnerabilities.
It's almost like you can see the future, Ryan, because look who's come on. Ethan McCabe. And Ruben Walls.
They don't pay me the big bucks to just make things up. I just want to clarify, I don't get paid for this.
I was going to say, could have had me fueled about making stuff up, but
Ruben Walls as well, back on. So they resort to a really strong lineup, one that they've yet to field across their 3.5 games. So it'd be interesting to see the connection and chemistry. I think it's always typically been either Kuszkowski or Carl Forster that's featured alongside Ruben Walls on the alternate wing. And you're seeing already the press, the communication, the understanding. I've watched Ethan McCabe and Ruben Walls and Carl Forster, for that matter, at developmental home nations. This is the first time they're stepping up for a major, and they have not looked out of place. Future is incredibly bright, and we have to be realistic with our expectations of them, really. But you look at the developments they've showed over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. We have often referenced their performances and scorelines in the last EPFA Nations Cup back in 2019. They were being beaten comprehensively by opponents that they're now really pushing As Marcos Trives tries to swipe it back to Radwan Bujabud.
Marcos Trives is replaced by Velasco.
Ruben Walls to take. Back to Ethan McKay. Finally, they introduce Scott Hill into the play. Patient play that from Ruben Walls, and whilst Radwan Bujabud wouldn't have necessarily known, I think he could have been comfortable in letting that roll out of play. I don't think Carl Forster was set to receive.
As it is, sorry. Goal kick anyway. Cabe drives it forwards. Velasco has to leave it for Bujabud. And now Velasco takes over again, driving McCabe back. McCabe does well just to get round the ball. Flick from Velasco. Good ball from Bujabud, and Ruben Walls has to be there to cut that out from Velasco. That's better from Spain. Much better from the Spanish there. You reckon we'll see Sean McKinney for a couple of minutes?
I would hope so. Yes, I would hope so.
Because I doubt he will come on in any playoff game.
I think that's a fair assessment, just based on the quality that they get with Scott Hilland at the base of that squad.
And based on how much game time he's been given so far in the tournament.
Final 4 minutes. It's almost a what if for Northern Ireland had they managed to get something from that Belgian game. When you look at their performance against France, they were the best out of the Group A teams. And it fired across the box. Radwan Bujabud, as he often does, just relieves pressure. And that pick-off to Espinoza. He's a very good player for Spain. And having watched him at the EPFA Cup 2022, it's clear that he's developed since as a substitute. It's almost as if you know what you're talking about, Greg, because Sean McKinney is going to come on for the last 4 or 5 minutes. Scott Hilland relieves himself of the armband, and that's going to be put on the arm of Ethan McCabe.
As a wise man once said, they don't pay me the big bucks to make up stuff. Really pleased to see Sean McKinney come on and get some game time. Was really crucial for them in Australia.
So Radwan Bujabud down to a very congested quarter of the court. Tarabo Sanchez reluctant to engage that.
Nearly rolled out and curled all the way for a kick in. That was a great clearance by McKinney.
Not a bad first involvement. But I have to say, even with this scoreline, positives in the Spanish performance. Just need to get a little bit of a grasp as to their classification status, because It's clear that they haven't really been chasing this game, but I want to understand what a best team could look like and why Samuel Gro Garcia is typically the first player withdrawn from the action when he's typically so influential.
Last minute of normal time. Northern Ireland closing in on it. Another victory.
The ball trapped by Francisco Velasco. Just given a ticking off from Niels Christiansen Simonsen. Ethan McCabe with responsibility. Again, probably Carl Forster's 180. Doesn't get the space. And Radwan Bujaboud once again clears the danger.
Yeah, just too close to boot. Jaboud, I'd like him, Forster, to sit on the edge of the box a little bit more, make it further for Bujaboud to travel, just to draw him out a little bit more. Took over into additional time. This one has felt like it's been over for a while, Ryan.
Yeah, and I think that is because neither side has really put everything into it. They've both experimented and switched things up heavily ahead of huge games tomorrow. So that has played into the lack of intensity and noise amongst the fans, who are typically so loud. But these days and these competitions are so mentally draining. We have to commend the efforts that they've just been able to maintain concentration, and again, whilst the scoreline very much in Northern Ireland's favour, a really positive performance from Spain for me, who have only really been undone on set pieces.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Ryan. Set pieces have been their undoing. Bujaboud's impressed me again with some of his distribution.
How many opponents can we say their undoing has been set pieces? I think Scotland most definitely. Beyond that, England defeat 6-0 with 5 of those coming via set pieces. They've been so competitive in open play, and that is a credit to the organisation and the tactical awareness of the coaches to really nullify some of the top teams. France have just seemed to be in a world of their own, as they so often are. But beyond that, there's been shocks, there's been drama, and you can see positives in every team. Germany will be really disappointed that they look as if they're going to come out the group stage with nothing. Should Scotland fail to score against Italy, they will join them as only one of 2 nations that aren't able to get on the score sheet in the competitive matches anyway. But they will contest a fixture against one another, Germany versus Scotland. Should Scotland get nothing from that game against Italy, which is, as said, far from a formality for Italy, that could be a really good game.
One last chance.
Another set piece. No real clear options on for Ethan McCabe, because Carl Forster's so far up that corner. The 180's not there. Maybe the pick-off front bumper will be, but it needs the right pace as it's fired into the box. No real trouble for Radwan Bujaboud, who looks for Espinosa.
Maybe the fatigue for Spain as well. Took a lot out of them that game against Germany.
That it absolutely did. It finishes here in Lignano with Northern Ireland sealing a 2-0 victory over Spain. The goals came in the first half. Carl Forster from a superb set-piece routine, and Pat Comiskey likewise adding a second with a well-timed finish. After that, the game settled into a cagey rhythm. Both sides rotated their lineups heavily in the second half, giving valuable minutes across the squad, but neither managed to add to the scoreline. For Northern Ireland, it's a job well done, disciplined, clinical, and now confirmed as third place in Group A. Spain, despite showing some encouraging moments, just lacked the final touch, but they too remain in the playoff picture. Both nations are guaranteed a playoff position, but their rivals are yet to be confirmed. That will be decided in the next game when Italy face Scotland in the final group game of Group B. Whatever happens, both teams know there's still everything to play for with that precious fifth and final World Cup ticket on the line. It looks as if Samuel Garcia will be coming over for interview. Be interesting to see his assessment, because it's clear Spain weren't really chasing that game, but it sets up a really good one tomorrow. Thank you to all that are tuning in. Next up, Italy versus Scotland.
Hello and welcome back to Senor Garcia. Samuel, our captain, another intense match for Spain.
Yes.
Finally, it's the last one. How do you feel?
Well, I feel a little bit tired and a little bit released, because it's the final match of group stage. So I think we can do better, but our goal or objective to play this playoff for the fifth place, it was what we want, and win there. So for now we're still in our objective, so now we have to do better and work hard for trying to achieve that goal.
All right. How was it playing with Ireland?
Well, but it's a very young team for the players. I think I have almost 15 years or more than all the players. Yeah. So I think it's a good team to see, to watch how they play, and offensive play, and a lot of pass. It's what we want in power chair and what it's nice to see. So I enjoyed the game. We do a lot of defense, but I think we enjoyed the game, both teams. So it was a tough game, what you say, but good game.
Yes, that's the most important, that you enjoy. I wanted to congratulate also for the score you made last match.
Thank you.
And yeah, now it's time to take a rest. Congratulations again. I'll see you very soon.
Thank you.
See you. Here we go. Thanks very much to Samuel Garcia. And I guess now it's time for Mr. Ruben Walls. Hello, sir. Welcome.
I get there,
Yeah. Come a little bit back, please. Yes, that's great. All right, sir, welcome. So, another win for Northern Ireland. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Very happy with the win, obviously. And yeah, it's a good confidence booster again after the tight game against Belgium. So we're happy with the win, and we'll just keep moving on for the playoffs.
Absolutely. How was it playing with Spain? Did you have fun?
Yeah, again, very tough game. They made it very hard for us at times. I think we also lacked that quality in finishing at times. Maybe didn't make the right decisions in the final third at times, but overall, happy with the performance, and yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We saw your team growing also through the different matches. You guys played very good. You also had a very tough time during the match with France, but I remember you were defending like crazy, so congratulations for the effort.
Thank you very much.
So, again, also for you, take a good rest, you deserve it. There was a long qualifications.
Yep.
And congrats again, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you.
Cheers. Okay, ciao everyone. I'll see you soon for the last match of the day. See ya.
Bye.